Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. My name is Callum, and if you had asked me a year ago what the most painful sound in the world was, I would have said silence, the kind that fills a room after an argument. But that changed the night my wife, Marley, laughed at something she should have never joked about. We'd been married for 6 years. Not perfect years, not catastrophic ones either. Just the steady, practical kind of marriage two ordinary people build when they're trying to figure out life, bills, and each other. Marley always had this playful, teasing side that I admired. She could take a dull moment and make it feel warm. I used to believe humor was her way of keeping our marriage light. But sometimes, people hide things inside their jokes. Truths they're too cowardly to say out loud. It happened on a quiet Thursday evening. We'd just come home from a dinner with friends, the kind where everyone shares old stories, drinks a little too much wine, and pretends they aren't comparing their lives to each other's. I was washing dishes while Marley sat at the kitchen island scrolling through her phone. The soft glow of the pendant lights reflected off her face, and she looked relaxed, even happy. "Remember when we used to stay out late on weeknights?" she said suddenly. "Back when we actually had energy?" I laughed. "We're getting old, that's all." She smirked. "Maybe you are." It was harmless at first. Then she leaned back, eyes half-focused on her phone, and said, almost flippantly, "You know, my ex used to call me at midnight just to drag me out for ice cream. He had so much energy." And she paused, then giggled in a way I hadn't heard in years. "He was definitely bigger than you." It felt like the words floated across the kitchen in slow motion, landed right at my feet, and exploded. I froze. Marley didn't even look up. She kept scrolling, still smiling at whatever memory she thought she was being cute about. Some men yell. Some men slam doors. Some men break things to show how broken they feel. But me, I went very, very still. Not angry, not insecure, just clear. Because jokes have contexts, boundaries, purposes. And the moment Marley said that, I realized she hadn't made a joke. She had made a comparison. And comparisons come from somewhere. "Marley?" I said quietly, turning off the faucet. "Say that again." She blinked up at me, her smile fading just a little. "Oh, come on, Cal. Don't be dramatic. It was just a joke." "Say it again," I repeated. "But this time look me in the eyes." She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "Seriously? You know I didn't mean anything by it." I dried my hands slowly, methodically, giving myself a moment to breathe. "I'm going to ask you something," I said. "And I want the truth, not the softened version you tell to keep the peace." Marley shifted uncomfortably. "Okay. Why did you say that?" She scoffed. "Because you're being sensitive. It was just a joke. Couples tease each other." "No," I said. "People tease about late nights, messy bathrooms, weird habits. They don't tease about comparisons that diminish their partner. Not unless there's meaning behind it." She hesitated, and in that tiny gap of silence, I felt everything inside me rearrange. The man I was before, that trusting, patient, loyal version, he stepped back. A colder, quieter version stepped forward. "I didn't mean it like that," she muttered finally. "It just came out. I wasn't thinking." "That's the thing," I said softly. "Words that just come out usually reveal what's underneath." Her face tightened. "So what? You think I'm sitting here fantasizing about my ex or something? Grow up." I nodded, not because I agreed, but because I had just learned something important. Marley didn't feel sorry. She felt offended that she had been questioned. And that told me everything. "You know," I said, "I've always believed that respect dies long before love does. And I think tonight you confirmed that." She blinked rapidly. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you don't joke like that about a man you respect." Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "Callum, you're overreacting." "No," I said calmly. "I'm noticing." The room felt colder, the air heavier, and Marley could sense the shift. Because for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't trying to win the argument. I was trying to understand the truth. And her joke, the one she thought was funny, had wiped the last bit of innocence off the life we'd built. "Callum, can we just forget this and go to bed?" she said finally. I looked at her and realized I didn't want to. Not tonight. Not anymore. I took a slow breath and stepped closer, careful not to raise my voice. "Marley, I've spent years trusting you, loving you, believing in us. And tonight, you chose a joke over honesty." Her eyes widened, a flicker of guilt, or maybe fear, passing across her face. "It wasn't like that," she whispered. I shook my head. "It doesn't matter how you meant it. What matters is what it reveals. Words that cut this deep don't appear out of nowhere." She flinched slightly at the calmness in my tone, as if I'd become someone she didn't recognize. That was exactly the point. The old Callum, the man who laughed off everything, who gave endless chances, was gone tonight. "I've tolerated small stings before," I continued. "Little jabs, teasing, moments of doubt. I brushed them off because I believed in the person I married. But this isn't small. This is a line drawn in the sand, and you just crossed it." Marley's hands fidgeted with the edge of her mug, eyes darting everywhere but mine. "So what now?" she asked, voice trembling, defensive. I sat across from her at the kitchen island, leaning forward slightly. "Now," I said, "now we see what's real. You made a choice. You revealed what you think of me without hiding it behind humor or excuses. And I have to respond to that truth." Her lips parted, like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I could feel the tension in the room pressing down, the weight of years of trust balancing on the edge of a single sentence. "I'm not angry," I said, softer this time. "I'm disappointed. And disappointed isn't about yelling or slamming doors. It's about clarity. About finally seeing what's underneath, and deciding whether I want to continue walking blindfolded in a relationship where respect doesn't exist." Marley's face fell. The smile was gone, replaced by something raw, unsettled. "Callum, you're taking this way too seriously. It was just a joke." I shook my head slowly. "A joke?" I echoed, letting the word hang between us. "A joke doesn't make someone feel small, invisible, unwanted. That's not humor. That's truth disguised as a laugh." She swallowed hard. "I didn't mean—" "I know," I interrupted gently. "You didn't mean to hurt me. But intention isn't enough. Actions have consequences, words have weight. And tonight, you showed me that you don't consider me enough to weigh your words carefully." The room went quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. I watched her, waiting, letting her feel the full impact of what she'd said. No yelling, no theatrics, just stillness. After what felt like forever, she finally whispered, "So, what are you saying?" I leaned back, exhaling slowly. "I'm saying I'm done being the man who lets jokes about my inadequacy slide. I'm done pretending that my self-worth depends on your humor. I love myself enough to step away from anything that diminishes me, even from someone I thought I'd spend my life with." Marley's eyes filled with tears now, and she looked as though she'd been punched in the chest. "Callum, please, I didn't mean it like that. I love you." I shook my head, calm but resolute. Love doesn't erase disrespect. Love doesn't make someone feel small and laugh about it. And tonight, I realized that I've been giving love blindly, hoping it would come back in kind. But it hasn't. She started to reach out, as if to touch my hand, but I moved slightly away. "Callum, wait. I was joking. I swear." I looked at her for a long moment, the weight of years in my gaze. "A joke," I said softly, "is funny only if it brings people closer, not tears them apart. And if you can't see that, then maybe it's time we both understand what this marriage really is." Her face crumpled, her laughter gone, her playfulness replaced by panic. She whispered, almost breaking, "Callum, I didn't mean to." I stood up slowly. "I believe you didn't mean it, but believing isn't enough. I need to protect myself. I need to respect myself. And from this moment, I refuse to be the man who shrinks to fit someone else's humor or insecurities." She sank into the chair, speechless, watching as I walked to the bedroom, grabbed my jacket, and opened the door. The hallway lights cast long shadows, and I realized how heavy the silence had become. It wasn't just her absence that hurt. It was the absence of the person I thought I knew. I paused for a second, turning back. "Marley," I said, voice steady. "I hope you learn what respect really means, and I hope you remember that words matter more than jokes. Because one day, they might not just be words. They'll be the last bridge burned." I walked out the door and into the cool night air. The streets were quiet, the kind of silence that makes your thoughts echo loudly. For the first time in years, I felt clarity, sharp and unforgiving. Not anger, not revenge, just awareness. Marley's laughter, her playful smirk, the careless comparison. It would haunt the memory for a while, but it wouldn't define me. I was bigger than her jokes, stronger than her disregard, and finally, I understood that self-respect was worth more than any smile, any comfort, any marriage built on humor that hides contempt. And as I walked down the street under the dim glow of the streetlights, I realized something I hadn't before. Sometimes, the right reply isn't a shout, a fight, or even revenge. Sometimes, the right reply is leaving quietly, letting the truth of your absence be the lesson she never saw coming.